Today I'm going to show you how to heat emboss some stamp images and then go over them with some watercolor to create a resist image and create my layout using my background. For my layout, first I roughly put my photos onto the page where I think I want them to be so that I can plan my stamp images around it. And then I'm going to remove my photos and go ahead and stamp on them. For my layout, I'm going to use the Evalicious Hello Speech Bubble stamp and also the cloud stamp. And I'm going to use Versamark ink to stamp the images onto my layout that where I had placed my photos before. I'm going to stamp around the peripheral of where the photos were. So Versamark ink is just a clear ink that's very sticky so that embossing powder will stick to it. And then we're going to use a heat gun to melt the embossing powder. So here's my embossing powder that I have in a plastic container. I'm going to scoop some embossing powder onto the sticky stamped images I have on my paper. And kind of being careful with it so I don't get stamp powder everywhere. I could have done the whole page of stamping with Versamark ink and then powder it all at the same time, but I decided to do the top half of the page first and then use a heat gun to emboss it first and then repeat the process on the bottom half. So now the powder has adhered to my Versamark ink and I'm ready to use my heat gun to heat emboss. Next, I'm going to repeat the whole process of stamping using the Versamark ink and putting powder on it, and then using the heat gun to heat emboss the images on the bottom of my layout. Now it's time to put some watercolor over the embossed images on my layout. The embossed images have a slick surface to them, so the watercolor I'm going to put on top of it won't stick to that slick surface images and only to the paper itself. So it's almost like magic when you run watercolor over the images because the embossed images will appear as kind of a white graphic amongst the watercolor. I'm going to speed up the process so you can see how it's pretty easy. You just put watercolor over all the embossed images and then they turn out to be kind of white and raised amongst the watercolors. here's my finished layout. You can see the embossed images and watercolor over them on the top and on the sides and also on the bottom of the page. I used some coordinating colors that I knew would be in my photos so that everything coordinated well. And I also used the Escape collection from Evalicious. And that's my tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.